Right. Okay. So basically, if we're going to start off with understanding how to turn decimals into fractions. So let's say I wrote the decimal 0.15. Now, that in a fraction is 15 over 100. Okay. I'll do another one, and then rather than explain it, I'll just do a couple of examples. 0.02, that is 2 over 100. Let's try another one. 0.1, that is, well, that is the same as 0.10, so that would be like 10 over 100, which, and you can see in all these cases that we could simplify them. I've picked ones that can be simplified. So why are they all over 100? They're over 100 because I've used two decimal points after the zero. If I did 0.162, now that's 3 decimal points, then I would do it over 1,000, and that would be 162 over 1,000. Okay. So let's think of an example. What would 0.16 equal? Right. So yeah, good. So if it's two decimal places, it's over 100, and then we just put that over 100. So in all these cases, we can simplify them. How do I know I can simplify them? Oh, that's a good question. How do I know I can simplify them? The reason why you can simplify all of these is because the top number can be divided by something that the bottom number can also be divided by. Now, an easy way to know if you can simplify it is if the top number is even, well, we know it can be divided by 2, and the bottom number is always going to be divided by 2 because 100 is even anyway. So if it's even, it can definitely be simplified. But also, 15, that can be divided by 5, and 100 can be divided by 5. Now, 15 can also be divided by 3. 100 can't be divided by 3, but it can be divided by 5, so we know we can simplify them. In other words, we can start simplifying, let's say this one here, the 15. We know that 15 can be divided by 5, and when we do that, it's 3. And if we can divide 100 by 5, that'll be 20. So that's now simplified. We can't simplify it any further because 3 for a start is a prime number, which means you can't divide it by anything other than 3 and 1. And 20 can't be divided by 3 or 1. Well, it can be divided by 1, but it can't be divided by 3. So that is now simplified. So that's done. Next one, 2. Well, 2 can be divided by 2, obviously, and so can 100. So 2 over 100 is just 1 over 50. Okay, so pause the video and see if you can complete the rest. So yeah, we could start off by saying, well, 10 can be divided by 2. It can also be divided by 5, but it can be divided by 10. And more importantly, we should be trying to divide it by the biggest number that the 100 can also be divided by. So we can divide 100 by 10. So we can divide both of them by 10, and you end up with 1 over 10. So that's that one. So the hard bit, first of all, we know that they're both even, so we know we can divide them by 2. We might be able to divide them by something larger, but we know we can divide them by 2. So 162, let's start off by dividing it by 2. 162 is 81. And so then we just got to divide the bottom number by 2. 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. Now, I think that's the simplest it can get, but we can have a little check. So 81 is in the 9 times table, so we can divide by 9. You can't divide 500 by 9. If it's in the 9 times table, it's also in the 3 times table, so you could divide by 81 by 3. You can't divide 500 by 3. So what else is 81 in? Not really that much else, really. It's in the 9 times table, it's in the 3 times table. That's about it. It's probably it's in the 27 times table as well, actually. But it's none of those number you can divide 500 by. So I believe, and I can always check on my scientific calculator. So I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to cheat just to see that I've got that right. But 81 divided by 500, it is, yes, that's the simplest it gets. So we've finished with that one. We also finished with that one earlier on. Now this one's a bit of an easy one. I think that one down there was the hardest because we had 3 decimal places. Now we're up to this one here. So if you want to pause the video and have a go at this last one. So 16 over 100, 16 over 100. So you can divide 16 by 16. 100 doesn't go into, cannot be divided by 16. You can divide it by 8. 100 can't be divided by 8. But you can divide it by 4, and 100 can be divided by 4. So that would be probably the smallest one. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So 4 can be divided by 2 or 4, or 1, obviously, but that cannot be divided by 2 or 4. So that is the most simple fraction. So that is a lesson on a small lesson on how to convert decimals into fractions.